Hello, my name is Eddie Yo. Hashtag running late for my dentist appointment, lol. I agree, it's an unusual name. Not for me, I've had it all my life. Now you might think that I come down here to spend all day larking about and not get any proper work done, but that would be wrong. Because in actual fact, I do come down here to get some serious work done. It's just that I get sidetracked larking about and not get any work done. Today, however, is going to be a different thing altogether. I've got to remove a steering rack. No, a steering column. I'm having this steering column picked up today by the man Mansley. That'd have been a bit embarrassing if I'd got him a steering rack instead. Inside Project Amy then is a steering column, and that needs to be taken out. So what I thought it would do would be just to pop in and see what I need to do to actually remove it. So I think a positive screwdriver, a 12mm socket and an extension. The other thing necessary, of course, for this particular job is a flat blade screwdriver for all those plugs, and some of them are quite awkward. Rather typically, there's a couple of bolts off and I'm already hitting the problem because I don't have a deep 12mm socket, but I do have 1/2 inch on the small ratchets. There we go. One Rover R8 steering column removed. That's how you do it. And if you're still confused, it's because either you wasn't watching or I didn't show you very well. Obviously that has given me a great sense of achievement, but that is not what today's all about. No, the really good thing is about to happen. That was obviously Nigel's horn, not that one that wasn't hooked up to anything. And it's got me thinking, would this horn make a good ringtone? It'd have to be looped fairly quickly, wouldn't it? It might be fun. I'm going to try it. And that brings me to the point of today's video. And that is Nigel. Nigel. Yes, Nigel. What about Nigel? Are we still making plans for Nigel? And the answer is yes. I don't ever want Nigel to be properly finished. I want there always to be some jobs to do on it. And even off of that picture you can tell that there are, because this bumper's got some rashes on it. That bit of trim, for some reason I've never replaced it when I could easily do. There's an indicator on the other side that's cracked and I've never replaced that. But these are rather small things anyway. But small things add up. So as well as that, there are quite a few, there's a whole host of other minor things to look at, including I still don't have a dry boot, and I'd like that. Then I could put the carpet back in. My headlining has become incredibly saggy, but of course it's not going to get any worse, so you know I can live with it like that. But it would be nice if it wasn't. So that's a job, isn't it? Inside I'm really not too worried about much else. I mean there's still not got a thing on that door card there, but I forget about it. All of this works. Oh, I am promised a centre console from an R8. The steering wheel has got some, well, rough bits on, but I'm not worried about that. And what else? Not much really. No, it's just a few bits of missing clips here and there, but basically all the trim's here. So what can I do inside here? Well, I could somewhat customise it, and that's the thing. Do I want to continue some of the customisation? Because I am quite taken by, what's that chap? There's a chap who I've met a few times, Rover 25, with a purple headliner and purple pillars. And it looks really, really cool. I really like that. Not standard, obviously, but I like it. But actually, as I've said, I'm more concerned about the exterior. The worst bit being this side. This here. What's happened here, I have no idea, but just so many scratches, like it's been driven along some exceedingly sharp, nasty bushes that are much tougher than the paint. You can get your fingers in there, that's how much of a groove there are. There are. I find that eye-catching and I find it annoying. But the trouble is, Sienna Gold is known to be a very difficult paint to match. And ideally it could do with just having a full respray down that side. But that's not going to happen for two good reasons. It might sound a bit daft this, but actually I don't really want to spend any money on this car. And that's quite simply because I haven't done so far. And it's been a really good car without it. Obviously it's got all sorts of different things on there, but none of those things cost me anything because I already had them. It's not some of the bits, it is every single change of panel. Wheels, interior, absolutely everything. And to start spending money on things like that would somehow spoil the ethos of this car. Do you know what? I don't like the word ethos. It reminds me too much of Chris Evans. I don't dislike Chris Evans. I just don't like the word. Anyway, back to the point. What I could do is get the old touch-up pen and spend hours and hours just going along those lines, just really, really carefully. I could spend a whole day probably just going along each one of those lines and wait for it to dry and rub it back, and hey presto, as good as new. Except it wouldn't, because as I've already said, it's not a colour that matches in very easily at all. So the two choices there aren't choices at all. So of the two choices, neither are applicable. First one would be to just leave it alone. It's not the end of the world, is it? It's a few scratches. But it does stand out and I really don't like it. So the other choice would be to make a feature of it. And that sounds like a rather weird idea, but then it is a rather strange car. Near the beginning of the modifications on Nigel, I actually polished this side with red polish, and it did something a bit unusual to it. First, it gave this already deep colour an even bigger depth, but you end up with these red lines everywhere. And now I'm explaining this, it sounds like a really, really crap idea, but I think I'm going to try it anyway, because it is just polish after all. If I was to start running paint in there, then that's going to be a bit more permanent. So there's the first thing to do. As I imagine you will know, this car is mechanically sound, because it does have a new cam belt, a new water pump, new oil, new head gasket, and then new coolant just the other day, which, as you can see, has remained clear. It's just got a couple of blobs that have still been obviously knocking around in the pipe somewhere. This car is better than it's ever been. You might argue against that and say, well, it's not as good as it was when it was new. Well, I think it's better. Right. My opinion's the one that's important just at the moment. But, getting back to the point, I don't need to do anything with this engine. However, whilst I've been driving around Benny Jazzmax down there, I have enjoyed that extra bit of low down oomph. Yeah, that sort of low down surge it has that makes it feel like it's properly ready to go and have a, not a race, but a drive. The 1.4 doesn't really work like that. It's quite peaky. It doesn't have power at the lower end at all. You have to rev it. And that is often where the K series can be a problem, because you want to rev it to make it go. Yet you shouldn't really rev it too much while it's cold. But how are you going to set off? Well, you can figure it out. Just drive it carefully. So, a 1.8 litre bunged in there. That would make it nice, wouldn't it? Yes, it would. However, again, it goes against that word ethos. The word that I connect with Chris Evans. That I don't like because of it being connected with Chris Evans, because I remember him using it a lot, and I haven't got anything against Chris Evans, but it's made me dislike the word. That word. can you see where I'm coming from? For it to have a 1.8 engine, it's got to come out of another car. And I'm not going to buy a car for its engine. So the only opportunity it could possibly have would be if I happen to pick one up that's been crashed upside down a couple of times and is completely and utterly way beyond salvage. That kind of thing does happen, of course, but then I've got a 1.4 engine in there that's also perfectly good and sounds nice. So it kind of goes against the whole idea of it, doesn't it? So I don't know why I'm telling you this, because I don't know why I'm thinking about it. Well, maybe I'm just thinking out aloud. Oh, how about a 1.8 turbo? I did have one of those and I sold it to Craig. That would be cracking. But again, even more of the same thing. It doesn't need it, and it would cost money unless I've already got it. And then even then, if I've got it and I put it in there instead of selling it, then I'm losing out on money for an engine that would clearly sell. It's not all about Nigel either, because now we're coming to the point of the video that's the most exciting point of a video that I have ever made. Normally it wouldn't be with him about, but this time it is going to be.